Hello again and welcome back to our online videos on cuforms. Our previous videos talked about accessing the system and how to log in. So if you haven't already done that, have a look at that one before you start any further. So we're going to move on and look at the forms themselves in this video. So let's get on and log in. We'll log back into the demo site. And because I remembered my PC, I didn't get the prompt to set a one-time security password. So we're back in at the dashboard. If we go to the Manage Forms area, we will see a number of forms that we've already built and one or two there that people have contributed to the demo site as well. The identification of each code has a unique number. This is used in the URL when we finally publish the form live, which we'll show you in a moment. The title of the form, the version of the form, and this is where we would edit the form if we wanted to make any changes to it or build additional items into the form. The URL to the form itself, and if we want to copy it, we can do so. You'll see we have retention on the forms, and this is where we can retain some of the information that we receive from our customers and get rid of the information that we don't really need any longer. If I click on the link here, this will open up the form and it will give us all the segments that make up the form. And the form is simply made up of line by line segments. So each thing we want to do, we just build a segment to it. Our first segment here is the introduction segment. So this is the start of the form. I'm just going to go back then and show you what the form looks like once it's completed. So the user gets to see the form in this format. You can see the introduction text that I first showed you there, and each line of the form, whether it be a tick box, whether it be a mandatory request for information, each one of these is a segment. So let's have a look at those. So the introduction segment itself just told us about what we saw on the front page. And you can put anything you want in here when you're welcoming people to your form. If we want to start a new form, just come down to the bottom and start a new form. So we'll do that now, and then we'll come back and we'll show you some of the predefined forms that we've already set in the system. So let's click on Start a New Form. We can see the option to add a form, and we get a number of options on here. We can have a publish date for the form, and we can have an archive. So if you only want a temporary form, then we can set the archive to it. If you finish with a form, you can archive the form as well. And then we have the form functions. We have standard article forms, standard forms, or order forms. If you want to have a workflow with the form, then I recommend the best form to use is the standard form. And we set here, create the admin form. This is where we apply the data retention rules, but we'll talk about this in more detail at a later video. We'll come back to the visibility and the alerts later on. But moving down then, the form email. So when a customer completes a form, they will receive a copy of the form, and a copy of the email will be sent to whoever you assign in this email here. We'll ignore the form validation for the moment, and we just add a title to the form. So this is, if I can spell, this is a new form. The description of the form is new demo form. sticky order allows us to sort it in order on the workflow and on the forms table. We'll just leave it as it is at the moment. And if we want to, we can put the first introductory text of the form. So let's just add some text in here. Hi, this is our new form. We can set the headline font, we can set the form font, and we can even set the background colour. We'll leave it as it is at the moment, and we'll create the form. So here's our form. The initial text has been developed as a segment, and we can see that here this is a new form. With our first text, hi, this is our new form. And we're good to go. If we go back to Manage Forms, we'll see our new form in the list. And because we didn't assign a sticky order to it, it's gone to the bottom. If we have a look at the link now, we can see the form that we built. So let's just go back and do a little bit more on the form. To add a segment to the form, all we do is click here and add a new segment. We get a variety of options on our segments: a standard text entry, pictures, tables, logins, etc. The user inputs is when we want our users on the form to put some data in. So we're going to pick up the first one and we're going to say first name. And we continue. So this is the title of the segment. Each field has its own unique identifier. So we're going to pick up user field 1 in this format here, and a prompt. And this is the prompt that the user will see when they open the form. So simply first name. If we want it to be mandatory, then let's just tick the box mandatory. Special treatment we'll talk about at a later video. If we want to show it on the admin form, this is where it will appear on the workflow. So let's just say we'll have it on the workflow as a read-only document, and let's have a look at what that looks like. If you want to add any text to help users, then just add the text here and create the segment. And that is our segment there, ready to take data. If we go back to Manage Forms and we have a look at the form, we can see the request for data is in here, first name, and the asterisk says it's a mandatory field. So let's build some more. We'll add another segment to it, and this time we'll again ask for a line of text for their surname. Pick up the user field. We can order the position of the segment if we want. It's actually left only when it's text segments. If we have pictures or tables, we can align those on the page. We'll enter surname, and again we'll make that a mandatory output. You'll see here we have an option to force the text. So regardless of what people will enter in here, we can make it force into uppercase or lowercase, or leave it as it is. This might help you with your own internal systems. Again, we'll ignore the special treatment, and this time we won't show it on the admin form, just to show the difference. And we'll create a segment. And so on and so on. We'll add another segment now, because what we want on our form is a submit button. So we'll add a submit button that might just say apply. We'll make the button name apply. We'll ignore the special treatment, and that looks good. The alignment will leave left aligned, and we'll create the segment. And as you can see, my form is building down nicely down to here. Let's put a couple more segments in. If we want to put a segment in front of another one, we just simply insert before. Or if we're not happy with the order of the segments, we can move them up or down. So we'll just put another line in here, and this time we'll ask for a person's email. The email is important then because we can send responses to the email and they can get the confirmations, and this is how we start to interact with our customers. We want to make this mandatory. We don't need to show it on the admin form. And we'll create the email. And you can see now it's gone above the apply button and into here. So when they make the application, they will actually receive an email copy and it will appear on the form. We're going to go into one more section now, and then we're going to have a look at the form. And this section we're going to have is on the workflow. So activity that we want to see happening on the workflow when it comes in. So we'll just add a workflow column that says confirm. Again, pick up the user field, next one down. The column heading will have confirm. We'll make it visible to everybody. We can add colours to it if we want to, but we need an option first of all. When it comes in, it says pending. And we'll create a segment. Now we want one or two other factors within that confirmation workflow. So we'll go down and we can see that pending's been added, and let's just add another option that says confirmed. We'll update and continue within the editor. And what we'll do now here, when we edit it, we want to be able to actually edit the workflow column. So let's just select the confirm function on the workflow, and let's say that if it says edit, if it says pending, we're able to edit the form. Update the segment, and there we go. So we're now going to look at the workflow and how that appears on the workflow. Within the workflow manager, we'll just pick up our form, our new demo form, and we can see there's no data being received at the moment, but we have the reference for the form number, the version that we're working on, the owner, when it was created, and those fields that we've asked to see, first name and the confirm. We have an audit trail at the end of it, which we'll talk about later. So I'm going to go now and fill a form in, and we're going to watch it appear on the dashboard. So let's just simply add myself into it. If I can spell my name and my email. Remember, if you play within the demo site, be very careful about data that you put in, because people accessing the demo site can actually read the data. So make it up, but keep the email address correct, because you need to see what's really going on. So we'll apply that now. We've entered those details in, and we get a confirmation that says please confirm the details, and if we're happy. If we're not happy, we can go back and edit the details, but if we're okay with that, we can just confirm. That form has now been saved. A copy of the form has been sent to my email account, and a copy has now appeared on the workflow. If I look at the workflow manager, I can see the form has arrived. By clicking on the reference number, I can see the form, assign an owner to the form. We'll talk about this in our user management section. When the form was created and the details that we asked to see on the workflow itself. Remember, all the data is still stored in the form, but we only asked to show the first name on the workflow. And there's our workflow about our confirm. It's ready, it's pending, and because it's pending and we told it that it should be editable, it's now editable. And if I select confirmed on it and update, the form is now confirmed, and you can see that there's no editing function within the workflow because we never set any. If I look at the audit trail on this now, I can see the activity that's gone on there, what activity appeared on the workflow, who did it, when they did it, and for what IP address that it was actually done from. And that's the workflow manager, and that's manage forms. Log into the system, have a play with it. As you can see, we've set some forms already for you to play with. We have a number of forms already built that you could just practice with, and you'll see them appear on the workflow manager. So just follow the link to them, fill the form in, and watch it appear on the dashboard. That's all for now. I'll speak to you later and we'll talk about the next stages within the forms. Bye for now.